Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be breaking down this Friday NBA slate. That's right, the NBA returned yesterday. It was a ton of fun. I don't know how you guys did last night. Drop down in the comments how you did. Let me know. We can chat about it there. But my name is Sal. If this is your first time here, I cover daily fantasy sports in the NFL, NBA, and also MLB streets. And we've had a great time. So thank you to the returning subscribers. We've been doing this for a few months now. We've seen great growth. And my whole goal here, especially if you're new here, is to give you as much value as possible. So give you all the data that I know about as much as I can in a digestible video, explain it to you guys, and not just give you guys picks. Because for the most part, where's the value in that? We don't want to hold hands to the finish line here if they are good picks constantly, which nobody will ever be able to do. So I want to give you as much value as possible. So if at any point during this video, and if you're somebody who's returning here and I have given you value in the past, hit that thumbs up button for me. Helps me a ton. Comment down below how you did last night, and then consider subscribing if at any point it helps you today. So we're going to hop into this like we always do. We're going to look at the injury dashboard. We'll go over into my target offense sheet, and then we'll finish it up by looking at some of my early interests for the day, some of the things like that. But I want to let you guys know that we're broadcasting right now on Twitch. And just to get the housekeeping out of the way, if you guys want to come over on Twitch live streams, I have a schedule on my Twitter account, which there should be a little logo in the bottom of the corner. And that's where I live stream. I answer people's questions. We do a little bit more. I go over my lineup from the night before, my cash lineup on there. So if you want to see all that type of stuff, that'll be over on Twitch. And I have a lot of people asking about these projections that I released for the first time yesterday, NBA projections. If you want them, you can go over to this site right here. It's called Patreon. Some of you may have heard of it. It's just a site that helps content creators make more money than they would on sites like YouTube or Twitch, because those sites take a huge percentage, 60% of your earnings, whereas Patreon's only taking about 5%. So there'll be a link down below. You can follow this link to my Patreon page. If you want the DFS NBA projections, there'll be MLB and NFL when the time comes. You just go right here. A lot of people, or 7 or 8 people signed up yesterday, so thank you. We started getting Patreons, which is awesome. Helps me, helps you. People got confused, so if you don't have a Discord, you have to download that app. It's just a group chat app. I want to cover this because a lot of people were confused. You just join here, you follow it through, you enter your payment information for the projections, and then it'll pop up a little Discord thing. You have to sign up if you don't have an account. If you do, you just kind of join, and then you're in. That'll put you right into the group chat where I'll be releasing the projections multiple times a day. I think we released them updated about 5 times yesterday based on injury news. So definitely check it out. And the Discord itself, you guys can hop down in below. This is the NBA chat. We just talked. Last night people were just talking nonstop. It's good to be in. So check that out. It's free. Yeah. So that's the housekeeping. We got that all out of the way. Good morning, Nick. How is it going? So let's do it. So we're going to start with the injury news. It's a 9-game slate. So injury and also status news, because we got some funky things going on in New Orleans, which we've had going on all year long out there. And for the guys in Twitch, I'm going to be looking over at the messages. Let me know if anything goes wrong with the stream. Streaming off a different Wi-Fi today. So Emmanuel Mudiay, he's going to be back. You have to imagine, though, as I see here with impacted players, I don't list a guy like Dennis Smith Jr. there, because I don't think Mudiay is going to come in and take his job or really eat into his minutes, at least as of right now. I mean, you trade for a guy like this, you give up a lot for a guy like Dennis Smith Jr. in the Porzingis trade, and I don't think Mudiay coming back, although they love Mudiay there, is going to affect him at the point guard position. I think it's going to affect more so that shooting guard position. It would make sense to get Mudiay in at the 2, or at least try that out with Dennis Smith Jr., but we'll have to see. Chris Dunn should be probable. Gary Harris Jr. is going to be probable. He's going to be coming, or Gary Harris, not Jr. He's going to be coming back from injury. Here's the thing: Alfred or Anthony Davis, and also Drew Holiday should be on here in terms of status. Anthony Davis will now be limited to 20 to 25 minutes a game. You can imagine his price will drop. He's only $8,700 today. You can imagine that will continue to drop if a guy's only going to be seeing max of 25 minutes. They came out and said Drew Holiday the same thing. They said his minutes will be limited, but a little bit more. So you can imagine capped at 30 minutes a game. So they're completely shutting it down here. Definitely just a loophole in the whole injury reporting and everything that's going on. So not great to look for the NBA when a guy like that just shuts it down, but at least he's going to be out there for 20 to 25 minutes, I guess. But that's definitely something to keep in mind. I don't think he's playable, at least today. Alfred Payton, he's going to be starting. He's back in the starting lineup. $5,000 makes him a pretty interesting play when you get news that Anthony Davis and Drew Holiday, a guy who takes a ton of usage, a ton of shots, is going to be limited in some fashion. So that helps guys like Alfred Payton. That's going to help guys like Frank Jackson they already mentioned. They named the whole list, so we'll have to see. Darius Miller's doubtful. It's going to help Kendrick Williams, who's going to be seeing more minutes. And also in terms of Anthony Davis, if we're going to continue to get news, or we do get news that Julius Randle starts at the 5, and I had this question the other day, why were you so excited when Julius Randle started at the 5 the other day when he was just going to be coming off the bench as the 4? Well, one, he entered the starting lineup when that wasn't expected, and it was later in the day, literally 30, 20 minutes before lock, whatever it was, so you automatically get an edge over the field. And two, whenever you're starting at the 5, and a lot of you know this, it's a huge bump. I want as many 4s and 5s in my lineup, preferably 5s, because they're getting easier shots closer to the basket, blocks, rebounds, all that type of stuff. And a guy like Julius Randle, who wasn't priced up to be a center that day, he was only 7,200. If at the beginning of the day, DraftKings knew he was going to be the starting center for that matchup on that night, especially because it was the highest total, I believe. I think it was the Thunder game. He would have been around 8K, 7,900, not 7,200. So whenever you get value like that late and people can't pivot to it, it's incredible. So we have to keep an eye on that as well. Myles Turner is questionable. I like Myles Turner if he plays. If he doesn't, I love Sabonis then. Whichever way, that's going to hurt, or that's going to the tilt. Tyreke Evans, questionable today. Morris is going to be starting for the Thunder. We'll slide through these a little bit quicker. Joe Val is out today, so that's big. And there's a lot of things I tweeted today about the Memphis centers. Joe Val's out. Jaren Jackson Jr. is questionable. Joakim Noah is supposed to play. He's probable now, or off the injury report, or whatever it was, but he was questionable. The only healthy guy out there is Ivan Robb, who's been starting at the 4. But today, it's very viable that we could see Joakim Noah at below 4K starting at the 5 if something goes wrong with Jaren Jackson Jr., since Joe Val's already out. So keep an eye on that. Anderson remains out. That's going to help guys like Justin Holiday, CJ Miles, Washburn, just a bunch of dust. You probably don't want to play it. Wiggins, I think it says probable. I'm not sure if that's right. It might be questionable, but we'll have to keep an eye on it. Kawhi Leonard's probable. Tyus Jones back. So yeah, not much down here. Kevin Huerter being doubtful. I mean, throw your dart with these Hawks guys. It makes Prince a little bit more attractive. Entering the starting lineup most likely. Bazemore should continue to get more minutes. Bembry is going to be backing up the point guard, but he might see some more minutes at the 2 where Huerter's been. Aldridge is probable today. Thomas Satoransky, I believe he was waiting on the birth of his child, and now that's happened, so he's probable today. And then, yeah, we touched on Jaren Jackson Jr. being questionable. So I guess the biggest news today is that last night we found out that Anthony Davis isn't going to be playing more than 25 minutes a game. Drew Holiday's probably not going to be playing more than 30 minutes a game. And then lastly, we have to look and we have to take into account some of the things that are going to be happening. Derek White coming back is also big. It's going to be bumping out the terrible Bryn Forbes and Patty Mills that some people were deciding on that they shouldn't have been. But the Memphis center situation is huge today. See what happens there. Value can open up with Noah. Morris now starting for the Thunder, or coming back for the Thunder. It seems that Jerami Grant should be back, but we'll see how those minutes are divvied up. So decent amount of news to start today, but a lot of it is probable guys coming back after the All-Star break, which makes a lot of sense. Sid, you said you can't see the video. Can everybody else see the video? I just want to make sure real quick, YouTube, that the people on Twitch can see. Let me know in the comments if everybody else can see it to make sure we're actually recording. What's going on, Bell? So yeah, I quickly want to jump over like we did yesterday, and I want to talk about Drafters. So Drafters, like you guys know yesterday, this is the site, and if you signed up yesterday, there was a free roll for Joel Embiid. It was great, right? You got the free roll. You got to enter up to 10 times for a Joel Embiid jersey. You had like a 1 in 100 chance of winning a signed Joel Embiid jersey. But what the site is pretty much is it's a different type of site than a salary-based site like FanDuel or Draftkings. And pretty much you get to go in. You can pick one of these lobbies. So you can see here they have tournament size. Their featured ones are up top. They're GPPs. You can play head-to-heads, little 50-50s down here. And pretty much what you do is you go in, and then I have a video here that's going to play in the background. Damn it, okay, everything's working good. So you go in the background. I just did this one this morning with a friend. So pretty much what you're going to see down here is just me picking and then the friend picking. I'm obviously Sal Vetri. I went up against a friend named Drew, and we were just picking here players. So you go through and you pick. This is a head-to-head contest. There's no salary cap, so you could pick the most expensive guys if you could somehow get them all on your team. But there's a little strategy behind it, right? If you see that your opponent in a head-to-head, say, has already filled up their point guard position, then you should just save your point guard position till last. So you can get better values. There's some game strategy here, a little bit different. Obviously, you don't have to worry too much about being contrarian. The thing I like about the site is that there's not a lot of sharps on it yet, or there probably won't be because they can't get as much down, and they don't have as big as an edge as they do on DraftKings or FanDuel due to contrarian, due to the salary-based nature of it. If you guys want to try this site out, yesterday if you tried with the Joel Embiid jersey, you can try it out. If you haven't made a deposit yet, you get, I believe, a 50% deposit bonus up to $100, might be $200, but I know definitely up to $100. And the way that it works if you're doing a tournament, this is a head-to-head, so you can see we're just picking sort of like a standard league. But if you do a tournament, who did I pick here? So I got Drummond here, and then, yeah, I went right back to the well. I think I got Kemba. So if you're doing a tournament, you pick in teams of 4 or 5, and then from there, those 4 or 5 teams, you make a draft just like this, and then you go and you take those teams that just drafted, and they go into the entire tournament and play against other people who drafted in a 4 or 5 person league. So it's definitely interesting. There's just different layers to it, but it's a lot of fun. Not complicated at all. You can see right here, you're just picking your players once it's your turn, like a standard draft. So I like it. Scoring is the same as FanDuel. Definitely something that you guys should check out, and there'll be a link down below. Again, yesterday we got good turnout. People went over there from my channel, so that helps me when you guys go over there. So definitely check it out, because I would love to continue to work with these guys. They have a good product here. They're cool guys. So definitely keep it in mind. Again, you can play GPPs head-to-head, so whatever type of player. If you're cash, tournament, they have everything for you here. It's just a live snake draft type format. And remember the deposit bonus if you want to deposit. It's going to be a 50% match, which you really don't get on any other sites. Definitely not the bigger sites that are already established and don't have to do those types of promotions. So definitely keep in mind this site and check it out right now. If you guys can just give it a quick hit, it'll be right at the top of the description, and it'll help me out. And again, it's a fun site. I play on it, so definitely check it out. As you can see, made this draft right here. So check it out. The site is called Drafters. You can see it right here, the logo. So cool site. Let's get back into it. We're going to go over the target offense sheet. So target offense sheet, we'll hop over to it. So target offense sheet, I like this sheet a lot. You guys know that. I believe a lot of people are getting satisfaction out of a sheet like this. We'll make it a little bit bigger. So what the target offense sheet does is it kind of looks at the teams on the entire day, and it breaks it down in a little bit more depth than we're used to seeing just in terms of on Draftkings, or if you're not really using any type of data. So what you're looking at here is the teams that are playing today, the offenses that we're targeting. I like to put them all in just to see the entire dashboard. The opponent they're playing, that team who you're targeting is pace rank, their pace rank, their actual team pace for the year, which just means amount of possessions per game. And then this takes into account the possessions per game by each team. So what we're looking at in terms of projected pace for the day. We could filter this actually by that, but I don't want it all to get messed up on stream. So you can see 105.8, 105.2, so these seem like good situations. Indiana and New Orleans is a high-paced game today. Oklahoma and City and Utah, high-paced game today. Some games that are teams that are both in the teens going after each other. This one right here should be a little bit higher pace, shouldn't it? Pace rank 8 and 3, 102, 107. No, so if you add those up, that should be good. So yeah, this is what we're looking at in terms of pace today. Definitely interesting. It's going to be fun. So we have some high total games as well, as you can see right here. If we crank down into the totals, multiple games over the 220 mark, one in the 230 mark as of right now. You can imagine some of these totals will probably move and go up by the end of the day. Then you have your team totals. And then you have what we all like to look at is defense versus position. So how many points a certain team gives up to a position over the last 30 days. It's color coordinated. Obviously, green means good, red means bad. But again, don't just take this for face value and say, okay, this is a guy I'm not going to play because he's going up against Orlando and Vucevic, which you probably shouldn't play him if Chicago doesn't have a center. So this is a bad example, but just saying you might be able to find a value play here. It might not be as bad of a matchup as it seems just on this high-level look. So definitely check that out. A lot of fun. So a lot of good stuff here as well. I don't want to break down into this too much. You guys can screenshot it like always. I just like to just quickly glance at it, let the new people know about it. Cat questionable after a car crash yesterday. Is that true? Let's look here though. Early interest for the day. So I don't do it by guards anymore. I just do early interest in general. And what this is pulling from are my projections. So once again, if you want those projections, you go over to Patreon. You just click this button here. You follow the instructions to get into the Discord. Pretty straightforward stuff. But I'm pulling these from my projections. It's not everything. I don't have the projected points here. I feel like that wouldn't be fair to the people who are patrons and are actually paying. I don't have projected minutes, things like that. I do have the value of how they rack up today. Joakim Noah's value isn't looking great, but that's because I haven't updated his minutes for what he should be probably getting today with Joval out. So keep that in mind. He's probably going to be coming up to closer to a 4 or 5. But this is just what we're looking at. Early interest, I like to target against Atlanta whenever I can. It's a higher paced game usually. Obviously, they stink at defending any position. Reggie Jackson's in a great spot. Best possible matchup for the point guard position in the league is against Atlanta, and that's what we have in Reggie Jackson here, who is hovering around 30 minutes a game. Minutes have come down a little bit since Ish Smith has been back, but definitely not terrible. 5,600, probably appropriately priced. I would like to see it a little lower. 5,300 makes me feel a lot better. That's fine. We already talked about Memphis. I listed all these guys here because I want to keep up with what's going on there. Blake Griffin, a guy that I'm interested in paying up for today. There's really not too much that I'm super interested in paying up for today in terms of like Towns, which is he now actually questionable? Let's quickly look. Let me go over to the NBA Fantasy Labs, which you guys should all be using page. So Towns, not really interested. I mean, Jokic, I'm always interested in Jokic, and his prices come down a little bit. That's why you can see him right here. But in terms of paying up, there's not too much. So I do like Blake Griffin at 8,900. I do like his teammate Drummond at 9,000. Griffin a little bit better just based on matchup. But again, Atlanta doesn't really have anybody that can stop a guy like Drummond. But they definitely don't have anybody at the small forward position. Who's going to be getting him? Prince, Bazemore, none of those guys are going to be guarding Blake Griffin today. Or they will be, but not great. Cody Zeller, 5,200. Price continues to come up. I think he's still probably a little bit too cheap in terms of cash and his upside in the 40 range. I do like him today. Has a great matchup against Washington, who is getting better at rebounding, especially after this trade, but overall still not the greatest. Jeff Green I like, and you could put Jabari Parker. You could put Bobby Portis here for this Washington power forward. If Green's starting at the 4, I like him more. I think that a guy like, and we could type in his name and it should all pop up. We could type in Bobby Porter here. Yeah, it did not. Bobby Porter Jr.? No. So we'll just, or Jabari Parker. Let me try that. So if you do Jabari Parker, Bobby Portis, I don't know what he comes up with in the spreadsheet, his exact name. So if you type in Jabari Parker here, who I'm really not interested in, he's a little bit more expensive. He's coming off the bench. Then a guy like Jeff Green, who's probably going to be the starter, and he's cheaper. So I always like to go for the starters, at least in cash game formats. In tournaments, yeah, go with whoever you want or you feel good about. But again, if it's a chalky player coming off the bench, probably not great. Marc Gasol seems interesting today. They said they're still deciding on him or Ibaka. If Gasol's starting, I like him a little bit more. If Ibaka starts, it's nice to get that power forward eligibility if you want to start a starting center. Jeff Teague, I like for cash. If we're talking tournaments, I like Derrick Rose a little bit more. We can put Derrick Rose in here. He should pop up. It's 5,700. He's a little bit cheaper. Still a good value play. You can play him in cash as well, right? Good matchup against the Knicks today. Dennis Smith Jr., not one of the greatest defenders in the league by any means, if at all, though improving. Teague, both of them, Rose, kind of interchangeable. Rose more so for tournaments. Paul Millsap's too cheap. If he's going to start, which I assume he is, although they have tried out this Mason Plumlee starting here and there, but for the most part, it's Paul Millsap. He came back and just dominated with like a 50 burger. His price remains at $4,600. He's probably right now in my model, my projections, I think he's the most valuable play of the day, as of what the news we have right now, and that's because of his price, right? $4,600 for a guy who, if he just gets the minutes, and that's the big thing, right? Will he get the 25 minutes to 30 minutes? If he gets an average in there of like 26, 27 minutes, he should be getting 25 points or more, and at $4,600, if that's going to be the floor with those minutes, you like that. So bonus, we mentioned if Turner's out, I like him. Otherwise, I like Turner right here. Collison, I don't like playing Indiana guys, but these guys are starting to become a little bit nicely priced, or nicer priced. I mean, Turner's only 6,400 in a spot where he should smash if he plays today, especially if Anthony Davis is on the shelf at all. We talked about Jokic. If I had to pay up right now, that's what I'm liking. I want to look at this. So Towns is questionable. So update for you guys. Towns is questionable today. Somebody said he got in a car accident yesterday. I did not know that. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. Karl Anthony Towns. There's going to be guys like Saric, Taj Gibson, who is the primary backup at center there. For Minnesota. Who is it? Is it Taj Gibson? We already know that Dang's out today. Is Gibson the only other viable guy there? I think he might be. So if that's all we're going to get, Gibson's at 3,800 right now. Keep that in mind against New York, who DeAndre Jordan's not the greatest matchup, but again, 3,800 cancels out a lot of things. So as of right now, the only viable backup center on this team, if Towns is out, is Taj Gibson. You're going to see a lot more Dario Saric minutes if anything happens. So right now, if Towns is out, I'm very much interested in both of those guys. Again, this is where the value starts to open. Kyle Lowry, since we know that Leonard's going to be playing today, most likely, I mean, he's probable. I don't really love Lowry ever when Leonard plays, but 7,200, very good matchup, this high total game, 228. I do like it. So I will go to Lowry if I get there. But again, in that range, I feel like there's better options. But as of right now, he is getting some value. Drummond, we talked about. Fournier, who's just been Mr. Consistent. In terms of cash, I feel like you can lock in a floor of around 25 with Fournier, a ceiling of probably only 40, average around 30, 5,800. He's priced right around his average. So in cash, decent play. Gordon, I like Gordon more so obviously in tournaments because there's that ceiling there. But he's just a guy, even when they're blowing out teams, this Magic team, that the last 2 times he's out there, he still gets to around 35 points, even though it's blowouts. He's getting blowout runs for some reason, which in fantasy, you love that. So I like that extra security with him, even in cash now. Gobert, $8,000. It's mainly a price thing for me here. I don't usually play Rudy Gobert. He just seems very block dependent. I mean, obviously he gets the points, the rebounds, but it seems like he has to get you 3 to 5 blocks in a game for him to really smash. So $8,000, not sure if I'll really get there, but in terms of cash, if you're just looking for a guy in that 7 to 8K range to get you 40 points, you can feel pretty safe with Gobert today, I'd imagine. Obviously, you could play him in tournaments as well. I just think there's better upside, but he is at a nice price. So that's early interest, right? We can go back to the target sheet if you guys want to look at it. And again, if you want all of this stuff, if you become just a member of the Discord, which you can do by just subscribing on Patreon or coming over to Twitch and becoming a sub. If you're a Twitch sub, you get access to the Discord and some other things. If you're a Patreon sub, you get access to the Discord plus the projections. And now Discord for Twitch subs is just their own Twitch sub one. Patreon has their own one with the projections, yada, yada, yada. But these sheets will be screenshotted and put in there. The projection sheet, which I'll quickly go over, this is what the projection sheet looks like. I'm not showing the points because I don't think that's fair. It's pretty much everything you just saw. We have target value, points per minute, defense versus position, which is the ratio. And then if I scrolled over 2 columns, there'd be the projected points per minute, and then projected value like you guys are seeing for some of those early interests. So if you're interested, head over to Patreon. There'll be a link down below in the description. You just got to scroll through the description a little bit. There'll be big get projections here, whatever it might be. I appreciate all the support we've gotten so far on that. First day, a couple of and keep this in mind, I'm a one-man show here making a projection system. So there's a couple of little quirks in the projections, but you could ask people who are in the Discord if you'd like. I fixed them as soon as I could. That's probably still going to be evident, though. I'll be completely honest with you because I'm a one-man show as of right now, and mistakes happen, and then people have to catch them because all the stuff going on with making videos and stuff, it's pretty tough to just catch. If like yesterday, I think I had De'Aaron Fox as the center instead of a point guard, and that's literally just because I dragged a little bit too far or something when I was doing projections. So yeah, just let me know. But yeah, it worked good yesterday. I got a lot of good feedback. A couple of people hit 300 points for the first time ever after using this, so that was kind of cool. Oh, showing the messages. There we go. But yeah, so injury report. I'll leave it on that. Again, this will be dropped in there as well. Follow me on Twitter for injury updates throughout the day. But that's it, YouTube. So I appreciate it. Again, I'll quickly go back to Drafters because I want to mention that I do believe this is an up-and-coming site. Again, I don't like to sell too much to you guys really at all unless I put or I would like to put my own name behind the product or a site like this. And it's fun, right? It's very easy to profit, I would say, if you're somebody who takes fantasy as serious as we do, especially if you have a projection system, because all you're going for here is who will score the most points, most FanDuel points, Drafters points, same thing. You're not going for the most part worrying about ownership. There are some game theory things in terms of seeing who your opponent has filled, so you don't have to take that position yet because they can't take it for the rest of the draft, things like that. But yeah, I like it. I think this is something that's going to grow. They're going through rounds of investing right now, which is always a good sign for a company if they're gaining that type of interest. So yeah, I'm putting my name behind this with confidence. So go ahead, check it out. You can play $1. You can play up to the GPP level, whatever it might be. These tournaments usually don't fill, and if they're guaranteed, you're going to get free overlay. So that's always something you want to look at. So for sure, check out Drafters, check out Patreon like we already said. I'll just finish it up with some housekeeping. You can get the projections there. You can come join us over on Twitch. But I appreciate it, YouTube. My name's Sal. You guys already know that. Probably won't be back for a live before lock type show tonight, but we'll see how I'm feeling. A lot less things to do today. But my name's Sal. Best of luck, everybody. Peace.